Somewhere in Atlanta, two circles are arguing about a training pitch. One is light blue and white with a tiny yellow sun. The other is red and green with a coat of arms that looks suspiciously like a treasure map. Both were booked for the same hour. Neither is moving. "We had it first," says Argentina. "You always say that," says Portugal. "This is not a new argument. It started before either nation existed, and it starts, weirdly, with a pope. In 1494, Spain and Portugal drew a line straight down a map of a world they hadn't actually seen yet. Everything west went to Spain. Everything east went to Portugal. This was the Treaty of Tordesillas, history's most confident real estate deal between two people who hadn't visited the property. Portugal got Brazil. Spain got the future Argentina. Two neighbors on one tiny peninsula had just exported their squabble across an entire ocean. Then things got worse. In 1580, Portugal's royal line ran dry, and Spain's king simply absorbed the whole country. For 60 years, Portugal technically belonged to Spain, like a roommate who borrows your apartment by moving in. Portugal revolted in 1640 and took itself back. The Portuguese Restoration War settled, or so they thought. The argument just relocated. Near Buenos Aires, Portugal built a smuggling fort called Colonia del Sacramento in 1680. Spain treated it like a shed built 2 feet over the property line. For a century, the two empires besieged, captured, and traded that one fort back and forth so many times, historians lose count. "It's just a fort," said Spain mid-siege for the third time. By 1750 and 1777, exhausted, both crowns sat down and sketched tidier borders through South America. Those lines are, roughly, the borders you'd recognize today. Argentina inherited Spain's side of the old grudge. Brazil inherited Portugal's. A 400-year habit of glaring across a line on a map quietly became a personality trait. Here's the twist. Argentina and Portugal were never really each other's rivals. Argentina's real grudge was always with Brazil. Portugal's was always with Spain. These two just inherited a fight that originally belonged to other people, like kids who picked up their parents' feud and never checked if it still applied. Which makes it almost poetic that decades later, the rivalry got handed to two men with no connection to that old line at all. Messi and Ronaldo never had a Tordesillas. They had a decade and a half of trophies and increasingly elaborate side-eyes from opposite ends of a stage. But the countries behind them had already been doing this since before the printing press was cool. So when Argentina and Portugal landed in the same 2026 World Cup bracket, a 5-century-old border squabble crashed straight into a 15-year-old football feud. "Coincidence," says Portugal, narrowing its eyes. "Sure," says Argentina, narrowing its eyes back. Neither believes that for a second. Ask modern Argentina why it doesn't get along with Portugal, and you'll get a shrug and something about football. Ask Portugal, and you'll get an even bigger shrug because its real grudge was always meant for Spain. Argentina just happened to be standing in the right historical hallway when the lights went out. It's a rivalry running entirely on muscle memory, like flinching at a sound that hasn't scared you since you were 5. And yet here they are, 490-something years after a pope helped carve up a planet nobody had visited, arguing about a training slot in Georgia. "You can have 45 minutes, Portugal finally says. "I want the full hour," says Argentina, like Tordesillas intended. Portugal stares at it. "You don't even know what that means." "I looked it up this morning. Somewhere in a Spanish archive, a 400-year-old treaty just got cited in a parking dispute about a soccer field, and that might be the most fitting tribute history has ever received. Two empires drew a line across the whole world to avoid sharing anything. Their descendants still can't share a training pitch. Some grudges don't end, they just get smaller stadiums."